Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. Grab your cup of coffee or tea, sit back, and let's chat about what is happening up in the stars above today. And we're looking at more of a human design focused day, but that doesn't take away from some of the other things that are happening in the world of the stars. So we have both astrology to talk about today, and we also have human design. And we also have the beginning of a new Pleiadian-Earth energy week. So we have a lot converging on us today to talk about, kind of like what happened yesterday. And then tomorrow, we'll be talking about the new moon that happens over the weekend. So we have like a busy week of things that are going on for us to get to talk about. So I'm going to try today to get this buttoned up in time to do a few card readings or oracle readings for people. But just know I might not get there either. So I'll look to Asa to help try to keep me on time. And if you guys have questions, make sure you type them in there so she can get them to me. So let's start with the moon today, fully in Libra now, making her way through the sign of the scales, trying to bring us balance and harmony, bringing things into some form of equanimity. And usually in relation to the moon, that means our emotions coming into some form of equanimity, learning how to become more emotionally intelligent, let's say. To be more aware of what our emotions are doing. Now, as we were talking about yesterday, Libra is a sign that opposes Aries, where we have Mars in retrograde, and where we have Eris, and we've had this energy of Chiron as well there, and all of those energies are seeking to bring us into a balance, if you will, with the energies of codependency on one end and dependency, codependency, dependency, and independence on the other end. Trying to move into the middle ground of that energy would be interdependence, recognizing that we are all life forms, all living creatures on the planet are interdependent upon one another to stay alive, right? We need to create more symbiotic relationships so that we can all live in harmony. So that's what the opposition is telling us. Now, then we have the two squares, the square from Libra to anything in Cancer, and the square to Capricorn and any of the planets that are in Capricorn. Well, we know who's in Capricorn, right? Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. And today then is sort of a pivot day in that we have both a square to Pluto and Jupiter by the moon at the same time that Jupiter and Pluto come into their third conjunction of 2020. So we have some interesting energies popping up here. And as well, then that means the moon will be in an opposition today to Mars in retrograde, and will also conjunct Venus, as Venus is also in Libra. So if we look at the moon, then Libra remembers about relationships and partnerships, beauty and harmony, peacemaking, diplomacy, those types of words all could explain Libran energies. And then with Libra's ruler, Venus, in a conjunction to the moon, we see sort of this opposition still in effect from Venus to Mars, moon to Mars in opposition. So we have touchiness, right? We have sort of a sensitivity out there to our to upset and maybe even a little bit of irritation and frustration that's just simmering below the surface, that's just waiting for the right event in the outer world to jump out and bite you or someone else in the you know what. So we want to be very aware today of what we're feeling, the level of irritation we have. I had irritation this morning right off as I was trying to pay the bills this morning. One of them, I could not get into their website. It just kept telling me, we're sorry, that doesn't work. I'm like, come on, I do this every month with this bill. Why isn't it working? And I just kept trying to push and push. And the more I was trying to do that, I was getting more and more irritated. I almost ripped up the bill. And then I went, wait a minute, what are you doing? You are getting caught up in this energy, this touchiness, this sensitivity. you don't have to pay that bill right this minute. You want to, but you don't have to. It's not like your tires are going to get repossessed or something, right? It's not like it's way past due. You just want to get it done and over with, and you could do that later. So I finally went, okay, I could do that later. Right now I can let go of that touchiness, that sensitivity, that frustration, and I can go on to the next activity in my day. So we're all going to have those moments today where we possibly feel that irritation flare up for whatever reason, something someone says, something that doesn't go your way, that you can't do in the timing that you want to do it. So it begs for us to step back and stop trying to push against the flow and to just, go with the flow. I don't know, maybe there was website work being done on their site. I don't know that. But I do know that if worst came to worst, I could always go write a check, right? I could do something different there. I didn't have to do it the way I wanted to. And so I think we're always like that, right? We see in our minds this way that things are going to happen. I know that every week that I go to pay the bills, this is how it works. And it just didn't want to work that way today. Thus my irritation. So what else is happening in your life where things aren't working the way they always have? And what can you do about that? Well, probably the best thing to do, because Mars is still in retrograde, is to stop yourself, right? Just stop, bring it to a stop and check in. Is this a timing issue? Is there something I'm not seeing here? Or just allow the universe to show you when the time is again right for pushing into that area or moving into that area. Venus adds the feel-good part of this today. So the moon in conjunction to Venus is what's helping us to remember in the heat of the moment that love prevails, right? That we can do it a different way, that there is a more peaceful path, a more harmonious path available to us in those moments of perceived irritation. So Venus feel good. This is a romance type of situation where the moon, the emotional field, it's a feel good sort of energy. The square to Pluto and Jupiter bring up the emotions around this very transforming world. And we're at varying degrees of this transformation that is occurring with all the current events in the world, but as well with, in our personal lives where we have been forced almost by circumstances beyond our control at times to respond, right, to a changing world, to transform, to allow ourselves the peace of mind to know that all is well, that all will be well, that we just have to stay out of our own way. So the emotional field around these changes, these transformations are huge. And also in some respects, polarizing still. I still hear all of this chatter out there, especially here in the US after the effects of the election, where the people on the opposing side, let's say, of the winner are, refusing to believe that this transformation has happened. And I think that's part of human nature for all of us. We sometimes don't want to see that something major has changed, that the world has changed, that our lives are upended. And so each of these squares or conjunctions of planets to the Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter bunch in Capricorn have been helping us more in the destruction. And then now, I think the last of these Pluto, Jupiter conjunctions help us to really see how we can reform and rebuild and come together in new ways. If we cannot do that, then we will not survive as a species. So we have to be able to keep moving on and to be able to go with the flow in response to things that are happening on the planet, in our worlds, wherever we are on the planet. So today's emotions then in Libra need to be balanced and harmonized. That's the big thing. You may be feeling a little off kilter in some ways, and this is your call to bring it back into a balance of sorts. On top of that, we have a minor irritation, a minor square going on today between the sun and Chiron. And we've been watching this happen periodically, right? As the sun comes into a connection with Chiron, or the moon does, or Venus or Mars. We've had different connections with Chiron over the last few months. And remember, Chiron he represents the path of the wounded healer. So he, at one point in our lives, is really showing us where our wounds are, where we are out of balance with peace or harmony in this respect, right? And then on the other end, it's also the opportunity to heal from the things that have been wounding us or have wounded us over the times of our lives. So today, though, with the sun in this sort of tense configuration, and that's what this is. It's sort of that, again, that irritability beneath the surface. Can't quite pin a reason on it. But there's this vague sense behind the scenes of tension around our confidence, right? Our self-confidence. The sun represents our full ego selves, our personality, and Chiron is sort of stimulating the little bit of a wound that we might still be holding on to when it relates to our self-assuredness and our confidence. So either of two things can happen today. Either one, you get a sort of punch in the gut and your confidence and your assuredness wavers. Or on the other hand, maybe it is something that happens that gives you a real boost in your confidence, right? That maybe even out of some wound or some irritation that occurs, you are able to manage that and you go, yes, I can do this, right? So either side of that equation can be brought up today, depending on where you are in your Chiron circuit, and also how much work you've been doing on yourself over these times. Now, as well, the sun in this kind of a relationship with Chiron can show us our vulnerabilities, exposing them to us, where we might feel like somebody's triggered a vulnerability, a soft spot within us. And the soft spot might be, right to your heart, right to your voice. It might be right to your gut. And then that can either trigger, again, the healing wave through that energy, or it can be more of the wound asking you to take a look at it, apply more love to it, and to heal that wound on your own. So again, that's minor. It's not like it's a big deal, but it is a big deal because if it shows up in your life, then it's exposing you to what's still within you that needs healing. And that would be the purpose of these kinds of transits, for example, to bring things up, to expose them so that you can work with them, right? You don't want them just staying there in the soup and never being healed because they keep coming up. They'll sabotage you, right? You'll kind of tap into those things that are kind of in that dark and use them as weapons against yourself, or let them stop you from moving forward fearlessly, or applying what you really want to do or who you want to be in your life. So we bring them up. We want them to come up. We want to be able to see and work with and heal. Let me take a moment to come over here to YouTube and say good morning to everybody. Hello, Debbie Tibbetts-Tumiel and J-Lo. Leslie Zuber, hello. She's feeling out of sorts today. It's nice to be with you all. I can concur. I was feeling a bit of out of sorts myself. I usually greet the day with a very cheery face, and this morning I was just kind of not cheery, but not uncheery. I was just sort of normal, neutral. J-Lo, good morning. Mimi says good morning to everybody. Ursula, hello there. Christine Buckingham, good morning. Debbie says yes, at the dog groomer, stunting around, no water. Oh, wow. I don't know what that means. So you went to the dog groomer, but you couldn't do it because there was no water, maybe? Is that because of Eta, or whatever that hurricane tropical storm little beastie is? Debbie Tibbetts-Tumiel, turning around. Yes, at the dog groomer, turning around now, no water. I get it. Asa, good morning to you. Debbie Tibbetts, no YouTube last night either. Oh, boo hiss. J-Lo says, my favorite place, Cosmic Calibri, hello. Mama Mia, my Chiron is in the first house in Gemini, trying to co-create events to raise funds for orphans and feeling so frustrated and disappointed by the lack of empathy from people. Yeah. But that's kind of the thing right now. There's so much need for us to focus on our own path ahead, right? And it makes it difficult, I think, for people who are hurting themselves, who are scared or in fear for themselves and their families, to open up their hearts and give, right? To be bigger and to give more. So that's a struggle, definitely, but it is a worthwhile struggle, Cosmic. And I would allow yourself to just feel that feeling, but know that there are generous hearts out there, and you just need to change your perception a little bit to be attractive to those people who want to give, who want to be magnanimous and generous. So there you can see you are able to affect the field of energy by focusing on what you desire instead of what is happening around you or what you think is happening. Cosmic, I'm supposed to be smiling under beautiful sun. I can't imagine to find the strength to stand from bed. Can I have Wisdom Keeper or Maya reading, please? I probably will not get to readings, but if so, Asa, take a note that Cosmic would like one of those type of readings, please. Kathleen says, finally here. Good morning, Camilla. Hello. Cosmic Calibri, you look really beautiful. Thank you so much. You're very sweet. I really, this morning, was just going to throw my hair up. I wasn't even going to put makeup on because I was running down to the last second before my broadcast, but I decided to be vain and put my makeup on and do my hair. Oh, the things that we do. Okay, Kathleen, thumbs up and good morning. Corey, good morning, people. She says, I'm late today. It's all right. It's all good. We haven't gotten too far in. We've just talked about the moon for the day, Corey, and you can certainly get more of that information by listening to the beginning of the broadcast again. And thank you for that reminder. Whoever said that, I think it was Kathleen. If you're enjoying the video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you are new and you have not yet already done it, please hit the subscribe. And there's a little bell right next to the subscribe that should notify you of if you click on that and ask for notifications of when I come on live, please do so. All right. And let's see, where do I want to go next? How about next we jump into the Jupiter conjunct Pluto? That is a big transit, right? That has there's a bigness around this, an earth shakingness around this. And let's hope it doesn't translate literally into an earth shaking event. But, you know, this is earth sign. This is earth sign Capricorn. And Capricorn is a sign of building a sustainable world. Sustainability, conservatism, not the political movement conservatism, but conservatism, being aware of the need to be a good steward of our time, of our resources, of our planet, and a good steward of each other, right? Taking care. There's a nurturing quality here that comes out in very practical ways, right? At the opposite side of Capricorn is Cancer, the most nurturing sign, the most mothering sign. So what we're having to do is learn how to be good stewards, i.e. mothering ourselves, each other, our resources, so that there is a sense of plenty and abundance and not a sense of lack. And we do that by sometimes being more resourceful, right? We take care. We don't go all out and spend all kinds of money or time or effort on things without actually having a plan, which is the other thing going on here in Capricorn, is that everything needs a plan that can be executable by step, so that we can see the progress, right? We can move forward. Capricorn often needs that in order to see what is ahead. And I'm using the word see deliberately here because of the Pleiadian-Earth energy of the day today. So Jupiter squaring Pluto 3 times in 1 year was monumental. Jupiter conjuncting Saturn and Pluto and Pallas Athena. There was also Ceres in there at one point, and also Chariklo. There was this huge coming together here in the sign of Capricorn with all of these planets, the likes of which hadn't happened for, what was it? Something like 1,300 years, right? A very long period of time, taking us way back to the time where ethics began. Ethics and integrity and laws and the way of life given, to people to try to even out the playing field through laws and through rules and regulations began. And here we are, some, 1,300, 1,400 years later, and we have the same transits coming together again in the sign of Capricorn to help us do a rebuild right? A rebuild, a reform. And so we see events in the outer world that prove to us that what we have going isn't working. And so we need to do things about it. We have to bring consciousness to what needs to be reformed, rebuilt, restructured in our world. So the transits here have gone forward, right? And they conjuncted. Then both planets turned retrograde. So in April, they conjuncted the first time. That's Jupiter and Pluto now that I'm talking about. Then they moved backwards and they did another conjunction in late June. And now they're both forward again, and they've moved back to the same place where they conjuncted the first time. And we get this final pass, this final drive for success, finding a new pathway to transform the world that we're in, to make it more fair and equitable, to make it more sustainable, right? If you remember back in 2019, when I did the astrology for 2019, I brought up the new words of this particular time period that were sustainability and stewardship, good stewardship, and even the word conservation and conservatism without the political leaning on that, just the concept of conserving and preserving what we have and taking that, slow as a step-by-step progress to move forward with the new. So we don't want to crash and burn everything and then have to rebuild that way. Some cases that has to happen because there's just no way to rebuild without actually doing the full-on destruction. So we're in various forms right now of our pathway to a rebuilt society, to a reformed society, to a new earth, right? To a new concept of letting go of nationalism and moving more toward globalism. And what I mean by that isn't, again, a political statement or an economic statement. It is the recognition that we are all one, whether you are an American, an Australian, a Chinese, an Indian, you are part of this planet and we are all one. Right? We all have the same sort of common core values, albeit in different ways, different religious beliefs or different customs and so forth. But if we blow up this earth, it's not going to affect just Americans. It isn't going to affect, just the Chinese or the Russians. It's going to affect the globe. So we have to become more global. So Jupiter conjunct Pluto has been reforming this, where we can see how impacted we are by what happens in every nation, in every continent on the planet. So we're having to develop a bigger heart, if you will, that encompasses all, right? So it's about the all. And this conjunction has been sowing the seeds throughout this year for what comes next. How do we get to sustainability? How do we really finally get to equality? Not just pay lip service to it, but live it, right? Live it. How do we get to good stewardship? And what does that mean? What does it mean to be conservative and resourceful? How do we manage that, even in, and make it equitable around the globe, right? That's the big problem that we're looking at, the bigger problem, I guess you could say. So it provides us the seeds of solutions, perhaps, to these long-standing issues: enough water, good breathable air, non-polluted land, energy conservation, taking care of the trees so we have air to breathe, all those things, just little minor things that we're working on, so that we can have a creation of a better world for all, not just Americans, not just Canadians, but for all. And I'm not saying that in a disparaging way. They're just the words that are rolling off the top of my head, so that all people can enjoy the fruits of prosperity and abundance, no matter where they are. So we've been in reform, we've been in rebuild, and this will carry on even though this conjunction passes. And it's prompting us to think in new ways, to turn our problems upside down and look at them from a different point of view. because otherwise what happens is we've been seeing this too in our human design, where the Jupiter Pluto conjunction sits at the gate 61, which is the gate of awe and wonder and magic. And oh my gosh, how wonderful it would be if, but it's also the gate of psychosis, trying to do things the same way, but expecting a different outcome, right? So we have been moving through this energy for a while. Now Jupiter is finally speeding up, and this is that last conjunction that he will make to Pluto for God knows how long. And this is also the beginning of Jupiter and Saturn's march to 0 degrees Aquarius, where what was conservatism, conservation, becomes preservation, and a saving of things for the future, right? A future forward sort of feel, where in Capricorn, everything has been trying to hold on to the past. And toward this point right here, where we're at the crux of that change, it is looking to the past to bring forward the best of what we have, the best of who we are, and bringing it very forward in the now, so that we can take that and build a forward, a new world, preserving the good, letting go of the not so good, and being open-minded to what's new and what's possible. That's another new word that we're going to bring up in the year 2021 and forward, and that's possibilities, right? I'm already giving you the key words to my astrology presentation for December. Preservation and possibilities. Preservation and possibilities. Keep thinking about those words and apply those words to your own life. What does that mean, right? What does that mean for you? Okay. Asa, I'm not hearing any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the human design energy for the week. Yesterday, I didn't get to this. I kind of gave you the quick once over, but today I want to go a little bit deeper into the week's energies. And you're going to find that as time goes on, I'm going to do this more and more. I'm really wanting to transition us to human design astrology, but of course I have a background in astrology itself. So I think I'm kind of poised right at a spot where I can really help people to understand both systems and how they can work together. And so I'm going to really start focusing more and more upon that. So you may want to have your human design chart with you each morning, as well as your astrology chart, because I'm really going to move into taking you deeper into every day's energies from a human design perspective. Well, yesterday was the first day of the new week, so I'm going to share my screen with you right now so that you can see the new chart. And I thought I was going to share that with you. Okay, hold please. Downloads. Or not. Oh, it's on my desktop. Just a minute. Oh, no, that was for the 5th. Okay. Today is the 12th. There we go. Wow, I don't know where I put it this morning. See, my mind was off somewhere else. Now I can share because now I can see it. So I'm going to share my screen with today's chart. Here we go. Here's our human design chart. And we have 3 centers defined: the head, the ajna, and the throat center. So we're really primed right now as individuals to really want to speak to what we know and to what inspires us. And unfortunately, that can make for trouble for some people. For other people, it can make for brilliance. And here's where the sun and the earth come in all of this week. For example, we have the sun sitting right here at the gate 43, and we have the earth sitting here at the gate 23. So it doesn't happen very often that a complete channel is formed by the sun and the earth. It happens more rarely than you would think, where an actual channel has both ends. So, and then we have, it's going straight down the middle here, right? Straight down the middle, the 61 to the 24. 61 up here is where we have Jupiter and where we have Pluto. You can see that here's Jupiter and here's Pluto. And then we have Uranus at the gate 24. Here's the symbol for Uranus. And then the sun at 43, the earth at 23. And we still have planets sitting at other gates as well, but that they're forming hanging gates, which means that for some of you who have the opposite side of those gates, new energy is opening up for you. For those of you who have no energy in any of those gates, you suddenly now have a hanging gate where somebody in your life might fulfill the opposite end. And now suddenly for this week, something can happen that hasn't happened before for you, or you might tap into new and extraordinary energy. But you have to always remember your own type and strategy and your authority, because this is temporary, right? Temporarily, you have access, let's say, to XYZ energy. But every time I bring up this conversation, it reminds me to remind you that you have all of this human design template. You are not missing anything. Just because it's white, or we call it undefined, or we say that it's open, doesn't mean that you don't have it. It just means you experience it through the conditioning field, through people, other people, your family, your friends, your coworkers, your colleagues, people out on the street, people in the stores when you're shopping. And where you have color, where it's defined in your chart, is where you have it naturally. You're broadcasting that energy. It comes from within you because it's triggered in the very depths of your DNA. But it doesn't mean that the other places are missing. They're just not activated until there's another person around you to activate it, or even an animal can help to activate certain energies within your human design. So today, then, we're looking at the 43 and the 23, and I am going to go a little bit deeper into the 61 as well. So if you're looking at your own chart, just as a quick little primer here about how to use this, is you're going to see look at the head center in your own chart, the very top center. First of all, check and see if is it open or white, or is it colored in, right? If it's colored in the top center, then your second center is also colored in. You would have a defined head and a defined ajna, because the only way the head can turn into a definition is by these gates here, or these channels here that connect it automatically to the ajna. So if you have a defined head, then this energy isn't necessarily going to change the way that you're inspired, or change what inspires you, or how you inspire others. Now, if you look at that center and you have it white, right? If you have it white, that means that right now, by transit, the Jupiter Pluto conjunction here and the Uranus placement here are creating a channel. And now you're suddenly defined in the head and the ajna. Now, you're not going to see that on your chart. You'd see it in a transit type of chart. But you have to know that right now, it seems like there are themes that are developing, that you are inspired by, or questions that you feel pressured by suddenly to answer in your own lives. And the defined ajna suddenly for you might make you think you have certainty, that you just know that this is how it's going to be, or become more polarized in your own beliefs. So we have to watch for certain things then, because typically when you have the open head and ajna, you're real open to new ideas and new inspiration. You can often take action on things that you shouldn't because of that inspiration. But now suddenly you have it defined, and you think you really have certainty, and you think you really know the answers to questions. Don't lose your openness, but recognize that right now you do have a certain amount of ability to be certain, to tap into a higher truth, and to really see and be inspired by specific things. So that's how that particular thing works. Now, the more difficult part here is for those of us who have an open throat. The throat center is the gearbox in our human design. We want all the energy up to the throat from the lower parts of the body, from down here. And look down here, there's nothing right now to help, bring that up. And we want the energy from the head to come down to the throat so that we can communicate, so that we can manifest. If you look at your own personal chart and this is open or it's white, the center, And now suddenly you have an access point where the ajna is meeting up through to the throat at the gate 23. You suddenly now have access to a voice, right? And you may be very willing and able to speak your mind, to speak of your genius, because literally that's what gate 43 is, to talk to people about what you see, how you interpret the world. But if you don't wait for the invitation to speak, then you may be seen as a freak. We call this the freak to genius channel. In right timing, you're seen as a genius. In the wrong timing, you're looked at like a freak, like, OMG, did you just grow two heads? Because people weren't ready for the message, right? So timing is everything with the throat as well as other centers, but in particular, when we have a defined throat, we want to share, we want to communicate, we want to manifest, but it always happens, needs to happen in right timing. Okay. If you already have a defined throat in your human design, this isn't necessarily different for you, although you may have this connection suddenly from the ajna to the throat that you don't normally have. So again, you're used to being able to speak your mind and have it heard, valued, and recognized without having to wait for that invitation like the open throats do. But even you can be seen as a freak in this particular instance if you don't wait for the right timing to share your wisdom. All right, so that's a setup. Let's go and take a look now at a little deeper at these energies. For one thing, the sun at the gate 43, it's the ajna to the throat, right? So we're being able to transmit through words our thoughts, our beliefs, our truths, right? The things that inspire us even make it down to the throat center. So it's a gate called insight. And the lesson here, big lesson, is to learn to trust that your insights, your genius, and sharing it in the right timing. Every one of you has this gate, this channel, this energy of genius. I think I said this yesterday, where there isn't any person out there who does not have brilliance. It's just that we sometimes in our world have limited brilliance to intellect or smart, right? Being book smart, learning, high principles like physics and all of that. But literally everybody has their own specific brand of genius. And this particular channel then brings that out. But when you're wanting to share of your genius, of your brilliant insights, here's where the issues can develop at this particular time. You could be a freaky genius, right? You could have the most inspirational thing that you want to share, but if it's not done in the right timing, then you're seen more as the freak, right? The heretic even, right? Where it's like, oh my God. So I want you to think Da Vinci here. Think of Da Vinci, right? If you think back to the drawings and things that he made of airplanes and of the different ways that people might fly or go to the stars, even how freaky that must have looked to the people of the time. And even Da Vinci almost lost his head, I don't know how many times, for sharing out of timing, right? His brilliant insights. So we aren't in danger of being killed for our beliefs, hopefully, and we're not going to be hung, burned at the stake, or anything as a heretic. However, the same debilitation can happen here where we feel undervalued, or where we feel that people don't recognize us or hear us or see our brilliance, right? That's the shadow here, is the inability to have your genius or your brilliance acknowledged. And so what we have to do is to do things in the right timing. And in the throat, the timing comes with an invitation that says, hey, I have this brilliant idea. Are you guys open to hearing it? If they say yes, then you've set the stage for them to understand you, to hear you, to recognize you. And if you just start blurting things out, they're not going to value, hear you, or recognize you in your brilliance. The other option is to just stay quiet and wait for someone to come to you and say, hey, I want to know what you know. Share with me. And then again, you're seen in brilliance as a genius, right? So feeling not heard, not valued, or not recognized for your brilliance or your contribution is the issue in this gate. So if any of you are feeling like that, like I've just spent all this wonderful time talking about all these wonderful things and nobody asked a question, right? Nobody said anything. Nobody asked me for, more. That feeling is when you know you have shared out of the right timing, right? The other thing that's interesting in this channel when the gate 43 is activated is that people get scooped, right? You share this brilliant idea and everybody's like, yeah, whatever. No, nobody's paying attention. 2 weeks later, somebody else comes up with the same idea and launches it out to the group. And they are like, what? That's the best thing since sliced bread. And you're left going, what am I, chicken liver, right? I said that 2 weeks ago and nobody thought it was brilliant because it wasn't the right timing, right? It's all about the timing. So the gift here is being seen for your genius, for your brilliance in the right timing. The shadow is sharing what you know in the wrong timing, and then not getting a positive response from the people that you've shared things with. The lesson in this sun bringing this to us is about learning to trust your insights, and that your particular genius and the ability to share it with others, but in the right time, which often comes with an invitation to speak. The Earth, of course, the Earth, the transmission. She's at gate 23. The gate 23 is the gate of transmission. This is the throat to the ajna, where the 43, the sun, was the ajna to the throat. So this is a definition on the throat center that's reaching up to the ajna to change minds, right? This is transmission energy. The lesson is to recognize that change and transformation are inevitable, right? That everything is that's the only constant we really have on this planet is change and transformation. So right timing then is essential here for what comes next. We can't force change to happen, but we have to know that it will happen, and it's also going to happen in the right and perfect timing. And that timing is out of our hands, right? That's more in universal divine right timing. And then to make sure that you don't slip into some form of despair or sadness or melancholy when people aren't ready for your brilliance, because they will be ready. They will be ready at some point in time. And you have to trust that you'll know when the right time is to break it down, what you want to share with people. So that's our lesson in this. The gift here is the ability to share information that has impact and transforms people's lives, or that elevates others' thinking, right? Right now might not be the time for other people to really see the brilliance in the transformation that's happening on the planet. They don't get it. They're too busy holding on to the past and to what was, and to some ideals that are no longer pertinent to the planet. And they won't hear you no matter what you say, no matter how you say what you say. So you're waiting for the right timing when they ask you, right? Or when you say to someone, I've got something brilliant to share again, and are you ready, right? So it's the ability to be transformative in the right timing by elevating people's thinking toward change and transformation. That's the gift here in the gate 23. Now, I wanted to talk a bit about the gate 61 as well, and we have had this conversation before. The gate 61 is the middle gate that sits up on the head center, and it is literally called the gate of wonder, awe. It is a gate of magical realism, I think, is what Richard Rudd from the Gene Keys thinks of this particular gate. The lesson here is to not get lost into the why of the world. Why is this happening? Why isn't this happening? Why does this always happen to me? Blah, 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 right? The whys. Keep your wonder and awe about what comes next. Again, we're looking at what? Possibilities. right? We get this possibilities word coming in again, and it's going to get more strong. It's going to get more profound as we wonder, as we start looking at, instead of the why or the what was, we start to look and wonder what could be. What's the possibility? What would happen if? What would happen if we released our need to have fossil fuels? What would happen if? Right? What would happen if, and how would that look? What is the possibility if we let go of our insistence on things being this way? What if we went that way? I don't know, but let's be curious, right? Let's be curious and let's follow that path of curiosity with wonder and awe and a little bit of faith that we're being led in the right direction, even if it is a sort of circuitous path, and even if it is a little treacherous at times, and even if it is creating traumas and dramas and conflict, that we have to have faith and trust that we are moving in a direction that is correct, that in the right timing, all will be revealed, right? The shadow energy of the gate of wonder is the possibility of bitterness or victim thinking when we try to rationalize the why of what's happening, right? This is happening because you liberals are trying to, take away democracy, blah, 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 right? That's just one way of looking at it. It could be rationalizing the why of the coronavirus. Why did this happen? Well, China eats foods they shouldn't eat, or right? So this rationalization pulls us into victim thinking. It pulls us into being bitter over what could have been, what should have been, what happened, whose fault it was, and all of that. So that's the shadow at this gate, and it's highly activated right now with 2 planets sitting there. And we'd had Saturn sitting here as well. Remember that, where Saturn was crushing down the forms and structures that were holding us to this old pattern of victim thinking. The mastery here is seeing a higher purpose behind everything that's happening, and behind all of the events and all of the traumas and all of the dramas, that there is a higher force for good that's happening in the world at all times. So there's our lessons in human design. How's everybody doing out there? I don't hear your questions popping up. Of course, I haven't really looked over here. Asa, I don't see any questions. So how's everybody doing with this? What's your take on this information, and how are you receiving it? I would love to know. I'm inviting you to share that information using your voices, is typed, written. J-Lo, thank you very much, sweetheart, for reminding everybody to take a moment and hit the like button, and to share this video with other people. That will get this message out in a bigger way. Loving Light says, it is a wonderful moment for self-realization, and that's brilliant. Big hugs, dear Janet. Big hugs to you too, Loving Light. Christine Buckingham can totally relate to that. J-Lo's, oh my gosh, she's in awe. She said, OMG, I got an aha moment. Pop's forehead, so that timing my soul can remember. It's all about the timing. So many things in our human design are about right timing. Right? We have the spleen, that's about time, right? The spleen is time. We have the emotional center, it's about time, right? The time with clarity over time, right? That gives you authority. Then we also have the ajna, that is sharing its connection to the throat in right timing, sharing of ideas, or your certainty, or your truths, your beliefs, sharing them in the right way at the right time with the right people. Even the G center, the identity center, is about time in a way, because it's a magnetic monopole. It can only draw to you the instances, the people, the events, the things that you need to learn and evolve, but in the right timing. It doesn't get attracted if you're not primed for that attraction. So a lot of timing things all over your human design. I'm sure I could think of timing for other centers as well. Pauline, hello. She's just been listening, and that's a good thing. And Asa says she's got your name, Pauline. Must be, because I saw, is it Woto you said there? Yeah, maybe. J-Lo, woohoo. She says, thanks, Janet, because of all the things I've learned with human design. Also, I have earned that lesson and so much more. There's so much more for us to learn, right? And to keep in our minds as we go forward. Okay, so quickly, let's do the Pleiadian-Earth energy, and then I'll have time for maybe just 2 or 3 card readings here for today. Today we move into the one energy. So new beginnings, initiating energy. It's time to start something new. It's time to start our trek up a new spiral of consciousness in this overlighting energy of seeing. Seeing is our energy. That is the umbrella energy, if you will, for this 13-day period of time. Seeing in the Mayan calendar was men, and men was the depiction of the eagle. So we kind of get this picture perhaps of the eagle soaring, the majesty of soaring up higher, of being able to elevate your perception, your perceiving of what's going on down below. And in that, being able to be connected to the bigger picture, but also with that eagle eye to be able to see the details. So it's time to connect to our highest aspirations. It's time to have self-confidence and to move forward with an inner knowing of what's the next right step for us as individuals, but also as nations or as people or as a globe, right? Remember, it's possibility thinking. We have a desire for freedom in this kind of energy as well. So we have to watch out for being impulsive or making rash decisions just so that we can be free of whatever it is that we think we have been holding on to. This may be particularly difficult energy today for those of you who have an open root center, the very bottom center in your human design, because when it's open, you sometimes feel the pressure, not sometimes, every day, you're feeling pressure to do something, right? So open root center feels pressure to do. And on a day like today, that could be doing something impulsive or rash. And then later you're going, ay, what did I get myself into, right? So be careful with that. But this is an energy that is visionary. This is inspirational energy. This is psychic energy, right? This is our being able to tap in and see the future, to see which way the winds are blowing and to orient ourselves to be primed for that move in that new direction. And we can see this big picture so much easier if we stay heart opened, heart centered, opened, right? Open hearts, heart aligned, right? Heart, love aligned. Only love prevails, remember? And only love is real. So we have expanded vision and we have expanded hope. We have optimism in a day like today. And I learned a new word this morning as I was really reading the energy of seeing, and that was a word, ahimsa, ahimsa, ahimsa. And I had to go looking it up because I'd never heard the word. And she didn't really describe what ahimsa was. I mean, she sort of described what it was, but she didn't come right down to a definition. I need the definition of the word. And it was a Sanskrit word that essentially translates to do no harm, right? So a day like today, ahimsa, do no harm. What a world we'd have if we did no harm. If we did no harm to one another, to ourselves, to our planet, to the animals, to the plants, to the rocks, to the sky, to the air, to the waters, right? Ahimsa, do no harm. I like that. That might be one of my rock and world words for 2021 because I like that. Okay, Asa, it is now time to give me the people who would like to have readings. So, okay, here we have a question. K. Burt is asking if we feel the transit more profoundly if we have the channel already. Possibly, but not necessarily, because if you have the channel defined already, this is a part of your life, right? This is a part of your experience. It's built into who you are. It is the part of you that it's expressing its authenticity at all times. So you don't necessarily feel it more. I think who feels it more are the people who don't have it. And suddenly it's like giddiness because I have access to this new energy, but you have to remember it's temporary, where you, after today or after these few days of this energy, won't have to let go of it because it's always there for you. So definitely you can possibly be feeling it more if things happen to be coming to a head in your life and you're recognizing perhaps where you've been using your voice incorrectly or where you have in some ways, been asking that incessant question, why me, what can I do, what's going on, all of that. So depending on what channel it is that you're talking about, I think you were talking about the 4323. Okay, So Colibri, Cosmic Colibri. Now I can't remember what you said as far as what card you wanted, doggone it. So I'm going to rely on Asa. I want to say it was a Galactic Heritage, perhaps, card that you asked for Cosmic. And then I saw Woto at some point for Pauline. And Asa, I'm waiting for that. So, apparently I'm not getting that message. So let's just, Cosmic Colibri, I'm already feeling the need for you to have a Galactic Heritage card. Oh, she said Wisdom Keeper or Mayan. Wisdom Keeper. I'm thinking Wisdom Keeper. And by Wisdom Keeper, I'm thinking you're meaning these cards, right? The Wisdom Keeper Oracle deck and Inner Guidebook, right? The Faces of Awakening. So let's do that. I guess I can bring those out another time. So this is for you, Cosmic. These cards are difficult to hold because they are just like enough to fill my hands, but not with extra room that I need to be able to shuffle. So one moment, Cosmic, while I get that. I want to make sure, because I go through this deck regularly, that it's all mixed up. Artfulness. Artfulness. Here's the card. Artfulness. He looks Italian. He looks like he's going to make us a pizza. Mario and Luigi from one of the Nintendo games. So it's card number 26, if you can see that down there at the bottom. And the gift level, which is what this card would be about, is artfulness. So let's see what that means for you. So, God, I opened up almost right to it. So artfulness is the gift. The shadow is pride. And the siddhi is invisibility. The 26th gift celebrates your ego without self-judgment and in full awareness. And here's your wisdom story. I might add for everybody listening to this, this is an important card apparently, because we also have the South Node sitting here until February. So it might be something that you want to pay attention to as it relates to your own life, just to see how the parallels are here. So here's the wisdom story. My father was a conventional, hardworking man. No pain, no gain, he always said. He never understood my acting ambitions, so I went on a mission to prove him wrong and make him and myself proud. I would become a famous, respected actor. If I had to kiss up to a producer, seduce my fans, or publicly criticize a competitor, so be it. My take no prisoners strategy worked. I climbed up the ladder of fame with the sheer force of my will. I was in every blockbuster, boasting every chance I got. My public relations team milked my celebrity and dealt with the fallout, while I tracked my popularity and courted my fans. I was addicted to stress. I couldn't relax, not for a single moment, until my immune system crashed. This is a big thing to watch out for, because this gate 26 that we're talking about, or gene key 26, is on the ego or the will center, which is related to the heart, right? The heart and how it pulses, how it beats, and the tendency we have as human beings to push through even when we're feeling burned out or tired, that we miss the message to stop and rest, all right? So as I watched my celebrity fade along with my physical strength, I became aware of just how terrified I'd always been of disappearing, of discovering that my life didn't matter. I started feeling pangs of guilt for all of the ways I had manipulated and disrespected people who had seemed weak and vulnerable to me. I started questioning the dreams I always believed were mine and everything I had learned about success. Thanks to my body, I was forced to stop imposing my will on the world and to start listening within. Over time, I felt calmer and my heart grew warmer. My immune system strengthened as a new intention grew inside of me. I wanted to serve the world through my art, not just prove my worth. So I began writing plays for smaller stages, plays about love, life, humility, and the human experience. My passion for the creative process just naturally drew the attention of the right people. For the first time in my life, it felt like magic at work. I still love the spotlight, but now I know I'm no longer selling myself. I'm selling love. Here's my gift to you. I'm here to recognize the artfulness in you. I come when it is time for you to mark it from the heart. What is the essential message you want to share with the world? How does your love long to be expressed? What is the deeper intention behind your offerings? When you share a genuine gift with the world, know that you are turning an ability to manipulate out of fear into an ability to manipulate the world into becoming a more caring, inspiring place. Remember that intention and will are not the same thing. Let go of thinking that you can only achieve your goals through willpower or by giving your mind the reins. Half the time, your mind doesn't even know what you want. I'm asking you to reach deeper. And while you're reaching, stop judging your pride and ego. Embrace and celebrate them for their ability to make dreams come true. Here are some questions that you can contemplate, Cosmic. How does pride express itself in your life? Out in the open, beneath the surface? Be honest. When growing up, what did you learn about selling yourself or about what it takes to be a success, in quotes? Were you taught that if you don't use your willpower to make something happen, it won't? Where might you be pushing too hard with your will? Think of a time that you experienced a magical synchronicity in relation to a creative process. What attitude were you holding at that time? And what does living an artful life mean to you? Find a simple way to open up to more magic and ease in your life. Sorry, guys, that was a long one, but so worthwhile, don't you think? Because I think it has implications for all of us, but hopefully, Cosmic, you see the connections there for you. Pauline Woto. So let's do it, girl. Let's do a Wisdom of the Oracle. This is a deck by Colette Baron Reed. You can tell, gosh, I've used this a lot. It's starting to fray. The boxes, anyway, not the cards themselves. Cards are doing just fine. So then, oh gosh, dropped out. Loyal Heart. This is your card, Loyal Heart. It fell out of the deck and it was upright. And it's card 35, which is an 8. Perfect, right? Because the 8 shows us the connection that we have to one another at the heart, right? The heart. Book 35. Let's see here. I think we had this card last week too, for somebody. I don't remember who. Okay, so, and it was right side up, so it's the oracle message. The meaning is fidelity, loyalty, devotion. And the oracle's message for you, evidence of loyalty will appear in your life. Others will prove they are faithful to you, and you will you in turn commit fully to them. There is a sure and abiding certainty in your heart. Know that spirit is always loyal to you. No matter the outer circumstances in your life, trust and have faith, for you are eternally loved always, divinely protected and divinely directed. Your partnerships, friendships, and romantic relationships all have many qualities in common right now. Honest devotion, faithfulness, and a loyal heart are being shown to you. Are you as loyal in return? Now is the time for heartfelt commitments and trusting in divine protection. That's a good one too. All right, so after Pauline, we had Kathleen, a cosmic card. Cosmic, so was that galactic heritage? I'm going to assume that you mean galactic heritage. So let's do that one. And, don't go anywhere. One stubborn card didn't want to come out. Okay, so for Kathleen, cosmic. Or galactic, it's called galactic heritage. But, whoa, that wanted to come out. Generosity, number 68. It is a gate of, gate. It is a card from Lyra from the future. Generosity. So 68 would be a 14, which is a 5, right? So let's see what that means. 68. An ancient challenge of the Lyrans was to have a generous spirit. They had a fear that if they gave to others, they would not have enough for themselves. Eventually, they healed this pattern. Humans are now facing this same challenge as they explore the issue of generosity. Most people have no problem being generous when they feel safe and secure, but can you be generous when you feel insecure? Are you afraid to give, or do you have resistance about receiving? Balance lies in being able to give and receive equally. That is a true path of transformation. So examine your patterns of generosity honestly. Here's the commentary. This Lyran time stream represents the Lyran culture after they healed their karma and the challenges of the past when they were a young species. One of these challenges of the past had to do with their selfishness and insistence on viewing reality in a fragmented way, which only accentuated polarity and kept them acting from a place of me first. This kind of attitude ignores the truth that all beings are really one consciousness, looking through a multitude of eyes. Over time, as they matured, I love that. This attitude ignores the truth that all beings are really one consciousness looking through a multitude of eyes. That's profound. Over time, as they matured, they learned that by helping others, they truly helped themselves. If this card came up in your reading, look to the other cards and your life situation for clues. It could be that you are receiving a message to become more generous in life, not through actions per se, but through the intent behind those actions, which is much more important. Conversely, it could be a message that your generosity is being offered from a motivation that is not aligned with your spirit. It may also mean that you are being too generous and depleting yourself. Search deep within for the deeper meaning of this message. Ultimately, when you keep in mind that all beings in creation are part of the same one being, the understanding of generosity changes completely. Begin to see your generous actions in a way that reinforces the idea that all giving is really giving to yourself. That's a pretty good lesson, I think, for everybody. And it's 6 after 9. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a reading for K Bird and J-Lo. J-Lo wants 7 energies. K Bird says my choice. So K Bird, I think, are you new with us? I'm not sure because I don't recognize that name. I'm feeling this is an interesting deck. I love this one, the Dog Pack. Oracle cards with dogs. I love dog energy. So let's see what we get for you, K Bird. And Leslie, are you still out there? Leslie Zuber is a listener to us in the morning, and this is a deck that she and her sister created. And she gifted me this deck to be able to use with the morning show. And so I love, periodically I'll just go, we need the dogs. So here are the dogs. And what you get is a cockatiz. No, that doesn't sound good. A cockatiz is a wild card, right? A cockatiz. So it must be a blended dog between maybe, I don't know, a cockapoo and a Pekingese, a Maltese. I'm not sure, but look at that. All that fur, all that hair. I love it. So let's see what this card is about. Cockatiz. And let's see here. Okay, nope, that's B. There we go. Now I'm in the right area. So it is, I see, it's a Cocker Spaniel and a Maltese mix, right? So Cocker Spaniel and Maltese, called the wild card. This is a time to let loose and let your hair down. Plan a party, go to a party, or just get out and throw caution to the wind, safely, of course. Men love women who are self-confident and free-spirited. So go let yourself have some well-deserved fun. Cockati's advice says, let the wind blow your skirt up a bit. I love it. That sounds like the Marilyn Monroe picture, right? The famous one of her standing over a vent and the air blowing her skirt up, and how, coy she looks and how she's holding her skirt down. But, you get this little piece of wildness there. So it sounds like, K Bird, what you're needing is a little bit of some wildness, maybe releasing some of your more serious nature, having some more fun. I love it. And J-Lo wanted 7 energies. So here we have the 7 energies. This is also a Colette Baron Reed deck, 7 energies oracle. And wow, I'm making a big mess. Okay, so this is for you, J-Lo. We'll see what level energy this is at too, or what energy. Wow, that flew. And it is the Rose's Kiss, card number 9. Look at that. Beautiful card. The Rose's Kiss. And what did I do with the booklet? All right, so the energy level is called Earth energy. So this is an Earth energy card for you. No. Is it? Yes, it is. Okay. Sorry. So the Rose's Kiss, the key concepts in that card, J-Lo, are joy, experiencing pleasure, deep satisfaction and enjoyment, desires acknowledged, 5 sensory reality. So Taurus, right? So Taurus. All right, take a deep breath and center on the feeling of joy. Can you allow your senses to awaken and connect with your innate desire to experience all life has to offer? Pleasure is part of life. Let yourself surrender to it today. Our modern times often present a false ideal of how we are meant to experience the world. Connections are lost and distorted by our over-reliance on technology. Just look around and see how few people actually maintain eye contact or engage in conversation. Instead of tapping away at a screen, pause and consider how you can make more intimate contact. Connecting with nature, enjoying the sensual pleasures of sex, and or being aware of the sensations of taste, touch, smell, sight, and sound may be important right now. How do your sheets feel? Can you reach out and feel the heat and softness of your companion animal nestled beside you? Be present to another person. See them and let yourself be seen. Your 5 senses are aching to be engaged right now. This is an invitation to get out of your head and into your body. You may be a spiritual and intelligent being, but right now, the emphasis should be on having a sensory experience. This is a sacred part of this gift of life. By being present to the sensual world, you invite an even deeper spiritual experience. Amazing, isn't it? Perhaps it really is time to stop and kiss the roses, if you can still find them. All right. Those are great cards all the way around. So that is all I have time for, I think, today, unless there's, I got them. I got everybody, I think, in there. If I skipped you today, maybe we'll have some time tomorrow, although tomorrow we're going to need to talk about the new moon. And I believe we have Pia and Cullen with us tomorrow. I'm going to have to check with them because I had this moment yesterday of like a stab of memory that maybe it wasn't until the 20th that they were going to be with us. So be surprised tomorrow if they show up, right? If they're here tomorrow, you know, we had the right date. We're going to talk about Friday the 13th, the sacredness of the day, of the number, of the cycles it represents, and how we've cut ourselves off from some of that sacredness as we moved more toward the 12. And it reminds me that we're at the time of year where astrologically, if you're looking at the constellations in the sky, the sun is moving ever closer to Ophiuchus, the 13th sign. And maybe we'll have a chat one day coming up soon about what that might mean. That'll just piss off any other astrologers that are watching, because I always remain open to the possibility that that 13th sign can be incorporated into our pantheon of zodiac signs. And indeed, it should be, in order to restore the concept of sacred cycles to our reality. That's just me, though. All right, everybody, take care. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.